Ode to Washbear. The gentle man, well-mannered, never intrusive, quietly, going, doing his business, respectful. Until this morning, when he lay just by the road, dead, unceremoniously left. Discourteous driver, well-mannered raccoon. And everyone remembers the story of the well-mannered raccoon. That is what happened. And I hope you all realize that I organize these poems months in advance. And I love seeing the juxtaposition of the poem with what each day's class is. So the irony of today's class: narratives never end well. I've been looking at this a long time. I've been working with it, trying to, another layer, another layer, another layer, another layer. We worship our narratives, and therefore we worship ourselves above God. God is vacating the premises, and people don't want to get that. How did we get here? So, some of you heard my rant on Thursday, but many of you did not, about the teenagers in Nassau County. What happened was a couple of teenagers went to this hangout area by a strip mall after school to have a fight. There were about 50 to 60 teenagers, as in humans who were aged in their teens. And the two kids fought. One was 16, one was 18. And the fight was over the perception that one kid was now dating this other kid's ex-girlfriend. And what he had in fact done was just walked the girl home. Things moved along, and the 18-year-old, who was the one who was the instigator of the fight, took out a knife and stabbed the 16-year-old in the chest. People didn't go to help. they took out their phones and videotaped it. They videotaped this teenager, one of their peers, dying. There was another, and then there was a group of, it turns out there were other, like 5 other kids or so that contributed to the beating. And there was another kid that actually was a friend of the one who got stabbed, who broke his arm and was bruised. But they videotaped it and then put it on social media. How did we get here? And I've been looking at this forever. For over the last year, I've been looking at the SAFER. Everyone knows if it blows up, there's humanitarian, environmental, it's a disaster. So who are the players? We've got the Saudis, we've got Iran, we've got the Houthis, we've got the legitimate government, whatever that means. We've got another, which isn't even in Yemen. I mean, it's just crazy, all of this. And we've got the UN. And everybody has a narrative. And everybody's pushing their narrative. And the narrative is all that matters. All that matters. Nobody cares about the essential issue. Nobody gives up their narrative to solve the actual common problem. So the UN guy recently, the envoy to Yemen, just wrote a kumbaya. If we all just got along, it would be fine. Everybody's pointing fingers at everybody else. How'd we get here? How do we get from a separation of news and gossip that we no longer have? It's all merged. And it's all about the story. All about the story. When we were in Co, I realized that's all they cared about was everybody having a story. So as the week went on in this group of people, and we were with the South Sudanese government. Turned out not to be such nice people. They had a story. Everybody had a story. And so I realized no one was kind of, interested in me or listening to me. And I go, it's all about the story. So I decided to tell a story. And if you pick and choose your details, you get a story that everybody likes. Got a story, got a narrative. It's all about the story. So I'm like looking at this. It's all about the story. It's all about the narrative. So I started the other day when this thing in Nassau County, New York, with these teenagers, they videotaped. nobody would put down their phone and go to help this kid? No action. No action. They were entertained. Entertainment. That's how we got here. Entertainment. Am I entertained? If it's discomfort, uncomfortable, oh, it's a horror movie or this movie or that movie, I'm entertained. It's entertained. How's my video? How does this look? How does my information look on social media? How's my picture look? Do you notice as we move along in social media, it gets more and more just a photo? So, facts of events and opinion are now the same. And Aaron had brought up the in regard to this, the movie Gladiator, where he screams, "Are you not entertained?" Isn't that what it's about? We all want to be just entertained. So here's the dichotomy. Entertained. All life is entertainment, amusement, spectator of the spectacle of life. Weren't those teenagers just spectators of the spectacle of life? Entertained. Opposite. Bored. 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 They all showed up after school for entertainment. Not boring. What's the negative of entertained? All life is entertainment. Everyone else is an object, inhuman. Voyeur. World only here for my enjoyment. And a lot of people will look at this as spiritual. I'm detached. No, you're dissociated. You're inhuman. None of my business. Oh, no, yes, it is your business. If it's in your field of vision, it's your business. Yesterday, I was at a local health food grocery store, and I saw this woman who works there, and I hadn't seen her or spoken to her in a while, and I said, "How are you doing? Did your son get whatever?" I remembered he was looking, she had, "No, that's so much since we've spoken, this, and this, and this." I said, "Oh, that's great." She said, "You all well?" And I said, "Yeah, actually, though, spending a lot of time looking at this safer and asking people to pray and be attentive to this. And if it blows, it'll be an absolute nightmare." "Oh, it'll be okay." "Oh, it'll be fine." And I looked at her and said, "Yeah, when it blows, it'll be fine. It'll be okay. When there's no water for people, it'll be okay." And I walked away. My conversation wasn't entertaining. I'm not very entertaining. What's the positive of bored? No drama. Normal life. Uneventful. Oh, I love those days and weeks and months. I'm boring. So, if we don't want to be boring and we want to be entertained, we instigate the world and then watch the reactions, the results as our entertainment, as in pain, torture, upset, crisis, chaos. But we're entertained. Entertaining. And then we have dueling narratives. Everybody's got a, that's all the news is now, dueling narratives. There's no facts, reality, nothing. So that's how we started. But that's not the end of the story, because we got to have a story. It's a narrative. It's all about the narrative. We go to complacency next. Because we're so overloaded with entertainment, we become complacent. Too much entertainment. Wow. Oh, I need a break. Complacency. None of my business. So I pick and choose my entertainment. On my feed, I only put flowers. No reality here. Opposite of complacency. None of my business. Yes, engaged, aware, involved. The positive of complacency, none of my business. Unintrusive. Letting people fend for themselves. Respecting boundaries. Giving others their independence. Detached. Unintrusive. And if you look at this and you think, oh, well, that's good. Go back to the Yoga Sutras. Taimani actually talks about this, when it's appropriate to actually, if it's in your vision, part of your problem. This is where people then go, I don't want to hear about anything. Well, then don't be a voyeur. Don't use entertainment. Use the people's lives and everything as your entertainment. Do not be a voyeur. The negative of engaged, aware, involved. Obviously, intrusive. Busybody, meddling, smothering, inserting self. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking what goes in with this is activists.
Yes.
I mean, there are activists and then there are activists, but a lot of complacent people are also activists in which they agitate for things without having educated themselves about what the situation really is and what the consequences of their activities might
Correct.
be.
Yep.
And they're dangerous.
And they are dangerous. They are dangerous. And they're activists for only so long.
Yeah.
And then I call Sunday afternoon activists.
Activism, it's not possible.
There's actually a term that a lot of you probably heard, slacktivists. You know, that they're basically slackers and complacent, except they're really activists about some cause that they feel makes them good.
Right.
And it's all about them and their narrative.
Right. Exactly.
There's no real knowledge or empathy involved.
Right. Right.
Entertainment that they
It's
find
that's
find a new cause.
it's an entertainment.
move on to.
Yeah. It's
Right.
like service tourism.
Yes. 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 Service tourism. I like that. That's exactly what it is. What was it, Coney?
Oh, yeah. The Joseph Kony.
Yeah. So that's none of my business. And so people think of themselves as, oh, I'm just living my life. It's none of my business. I don't get involved. I don't this. Oh, really? Okay. So you have the activists, the slackivists, the service tourism. Oh, that's such a great phrase. And the complacent, the do-nothings. And then we get to what the cause of it. Keep going, keep digging down. I keep digging down. Why are we complacent? What's this entertainment? What's all of this? And I get to my narrative is everything. It's everything. Narrative is meaning. Reality is whatever story I tell. And my story is my truth. My truth is my facts. That's why I'm always interested when people come to a class and then someone else is not at that class and they communicate what happened in the class. Interesting, really? Wow. And then I'll say, well, did you listen to the class? Is the class the same as the reporting? Very important. And that doesn't just happen there. That happens everywhere. And that's why, for anyone, why I like doing out in public. So, oh, you were there, you were there, you were there, you were there, I said this. Oh, yeah. But somebody's going to want to hear something differently because it doesn't fit their story, doesn't fit their narrative, and they're going to want to twist things.
They use it. It goes right, cycles right back into me using it.
Correct.
For our own
entertainment. But it's our entertainment, our complacency, but the main thing is the maintenance of the narrative. My narrative is not to be touched, not to be hurt, not to be anything. Which goes to, I'm sorry, sadhana is about getting that the narrative isn't who we are.
If the narrative stays intact, you're not doing sadhana.
Correct. That's correct. So, my narrative and image are all that matters. How do people and things fit into my narrative? Everyone and thing is a prop for my narrative, and its value is based on how it fits into my narrative. Nothing has essential or intrinsic value. This is it. This is why the UN did not push the point to get on the SAFER. Their narrative was more important than taking care of business. Opposite of this.
Value God in everything.
Yes, value God in everyone and everything. Now, we go to the positive of my narrative and image are all that matters. And how did we get here? We could go back to God-centered world, and then we had enlightenment, and then we had, the humanism, and all that. But recently, and by recent, you can do 100 years, if you think of the whole thing. Good self-esteem. That's the positive of my narrative and image are all that matters. I have a great narrative. I have a great story. Therefore, I am good. I feel good about myself. My intentions are never bad because I have a good self-esteem. I have a good narrative. My story always goes this way. Good. This. The problem with this environment, this laboratory, is the narrative is so superficial that the real motivation can always be felt. And exposed. And the problem with this, with value God in everyone and everything, the negative of that, you're not the star. We're not the star. And on Thursday, said, not the star. It doesn't make me the star. God is the star in this room. And God should be the star at all times. And we walk out of here, God is the center of everything. And when I say God, I don't mean an image that any of you've created, because that's not God. It's Sat Chit Ananda, absolute truth, absolute consciousness, absolute bliss. God is all-knowing. It is not limited at all. Everywhere, not limited. There isn't anything that doesn't have God in it. And God is the one who manifests everything. So in here, we should be constantly evaluating, reevaluating, looking what's going on, conceiving of doing things better, and resting in our bottom line. Keep resting in the bottom line, not committed to a narrative. So if we go back to those kids, those teenagers, they were all in their narrative. And they were all promoting their narrative. And then, so you know, afterwards, they had a vigil. How cool was that? How entertaining was that? And there were candles by the place, props. Oh. And then somebody on the news complained that not only were the kids that were there traumatized by this event, traumatized by the event, but since it was on social media, every kid that watched it was traumatized. No, they were entertained. They were entertained.
And this so goes to calling something what it actually is.
Yes.
Because if something that's gonna be traumatized, like people will be traumatized by that. That was a choice, what these kids chose not to do.
But this is also a choice. It's all a choice. Everybody is committed to their narrative. So it's a choice. Name, form, meaning. If I call it good self-esteem, when it's actually I'm just using everybody, I've superimposed that name, which is a good thing. I've superimposed the meaning of good self-esteem. But the form is that of everyone and thing is a prop for my narrative, and its value is based on how it fits into my narrative. That's the meaning. So we superimpose these names, these positive names, but if we really were to dig down and look at what it is, so I'm speaking my truth. Your truth is wrong. That's very nice that you're speaking your truth. Then I'm going to say your truth is really off base. Have you really looked at it? Have you woken up to it? Have you become, as David was saying, when you agitate for activism, have you become an expert on this? Do you actually know? Or is it just your idea? So we go from entertainment to complacent to the support that my narrative is everything. And I've quoted this from David before, where Herbert McCabe said, "If you do not love, then you are not alive. If you do love, you will be killed." So this week, I wrote this. I lost. I am on the side that loses and will still remain on that side. That is the side that loves. I'd rather lose and be on God's side than win and remain dead to love. I am not going to change. I already changed. That is how I got here. God may want me to fight the good fight without wanting me to win. I win by surrendering to God's will. I can live with